another lesson for you. Yes. So let's start off with like a little riddle. It's brown and sometimes smells. Come on now. Don't think potty talk. No, we're talking about soil, you goofballs. Okay, so why on earth is soil important? Think about it. Soil is everywhere. And sometimes we just take that for granted and we're like, yeah, we got soil, we can grow whatever we want. We don't even think about it. But what happens if soil didn't exist? What if all the soil kind of went away? I don't know what our ground would be filled with, maybe rock, but nonetheless, if soil didn't exist, it would change everything. Pretty much everything that we own, that we eat, that we wear, that we use, has been grown in the soil at some point at some time. Okay, so soil is obviously a very important component of our world and how we do things as we see it now. So let's just talk about some of the different characteristics of soil, and as you know, the importance now. Okay, the definition: the top layer of the surface of the earth in which plants grow. Right? That's what we think about. We think soil, yeah, things grow in it. Right? If you dig down deep enough, you're going to get to the dirt. That's it. Now let's talk about some of the importances, okay? Home to many, many organisms. I mean, you guys would be amazed. You don't see all the microscopic organisms. Sometimes we see the worms and the bugs and all that stuff, but there are so much more in that. A medium of crop production. So obviously without soil, we wouldn't be able to produce any of the crops that we eat, that we sell, that all that good stuff, okay? So crop production absolutely is vital with soil, okay? Filter and water waste. Believe it or not, did you know that soil actually filters out some of the waste materials from water? So it's absolutely necessary that we have that, okay? Because that's just a filtering system, like a natural filtering system. A waste decomposer. Believe it or not, a lot of the wastes that come from some of the things that we use and we do basically can be decomposed within the soil, okay? Because there are different types of organisms, microorganisms, that basically allow that to happen, which is a really cool process and really helpful. And then a source material for construction, medicine, many, many other things. So many things that we use, again, like I said, either come from the soil or are grown in the soil. Okay, so obviously very important kind of features about the soil. So there's the definition and importance. Well, what's it made of? Okay, well, you guys kind of have probably felt soil before if you've ever, made little dirt clods as a kid, mud pies. But soil is made mostly of rock and mineral particles, okay? Also contains the remains of living things, decaying plants and animals, but for the most part, we're just talking about rock, mineral soil, or mineral particles, bits and pieces of, different items that kind of are thrown in there and mixed in there throughout the years, okay? So you have insects and fungi, burrowing animals, microbes, different things, plant roots, okay? Make up kind of the soil as we know it. All right, the rock the soil comes from is called the parent material. So way down deep, when you can't really dig much further, you've pretty much hit the parent material. Now sometimes the parent material is super deep within under the soil, and sometimes it's maybe only a couple of feet. But nonetheless, that's what it's called, is basically the rock that soil is derived from. It's called that parent material. So let's talk a little bit about soil formation. Again, you have the parent material, which is the rock, which it absolutely kind of comes from. It's birthed from the parent material. But then you also have the topography, okay, where it's located is going to do a lot to how it's formed, okay. Microorganisms are going to do different things to the soil as well. They might aerate it more. They might do things that kind of change the soil characteristics as opposed to maybe another place that don't have those microorganisms. Forest and time, okay, those are other things that are going to aid in the soil formation. Time obviously is a huge factor. That is something that always plays a role in formation of anything. So those are kind of the main things that kind of go into the soil and make it very characteristic for where it is, okay? All right, now I'm going to read through these and then I have an image to show you guys, but this is all in your unit, so please go over these, understand them a little bit. If you have questions, we can talk about them in class. But we call these soil horizons, basically kind of the layers. So the O horizon is the layer of decomposed organic material, okay? And again, I'll show you a picture in just a moment. The A horizon is the dark upper horizon that contains substantial humus, or we call it humus, as well as some inorganic components like rock and mineral particles. Okay, the B horizon, usually lighter in color than the A horizon, characterized by accumulation of clay that gets washed down from the soil above. So you can kind of visualize that O is starting on the top. Then we go A, B, C, loose material, recently weathered from the parent material. Okay, so now we're really close to the parent material. And then the R horizon is the parent material, or the rock beneath the soil. So you have these layers, which we call horizons, that make up soil. Now, depending on where the soil is, those horizons may vary in thickness, okay? But typically, all soils are going to have these different horizons. So A and O, which are the topmost layers, okay, those are sometimes called topsoil. Thick topsoils are good for crop production. The lower horizons are sometimes called the subsoil. So basically, we have the topsoil here, the subsoil here, okay? Let's look at a picture, and this gives you a better idea. So again, your O horizon, the humus, and the A horizon make up kind of your topsoil, all right? Those are the two top layers. You're going to find roots in the A horizon as well as the O, but those are your outermost layers of the soil that are very easy to dig through, and typically you'll find a lot of lovely creatures in those horizons. Then you have the E, which we didn't even talk about. This is a little bit more in depth, but you have the B, C, and R, which we did talk about. The subsoil, the regolith, which we don't really, I'm not going to call it that in this class, but if you take a high school class, you'll hear that term a lot. And then at the bottom, the bedrock, or the parent material, okay, which is mainly just rock, okay? So those are the soil layers that you're going to find in the different types of, or different soils that you see around your area and other areas as well. Okay, so some soil properties. Obviously, we look at the texture of soil, because how does it feel? Is it thick, as far as like, is it clay-like? Does it have big particles? Is it very sandy? So soil texture is a measure of how the soil feels. It's determined by the sizes of the particles in the soil. There's more terms that you guys can read about in your unit, but know that soil texture is a big, huge physical property of soil. You can touch it and feel it, and you can feel those differences in the soil texture. But then there's also chemical properties, okay? Chemical properties of soils include the nutrient content and the soil pH. Nutrients are the materials in the soil that plants need to grow. If there aren't any nutrients in the soil, plants will not grow well. So you can always know that if land or soil is fertile, which we call some fertile land, is that things can grow abundantly. Okay, so that's a big difference, is the pH and the nutrients. If there's no nutrients there, things can't grow. The pH, though, the pH is a measure of the amount of acid-causing substances in the soil, okay? pH values can range from 0 to 14, okay? Most soils have a pH around 5 to 8, so 0 is very acidic. We don't want, obviously, soil very acidic, otherwise, again, things can't grow. Lots of things start to die off within the soil itself. A very basic soil is not good either, on the opposite end of that pH scale. But here in the neutral area, which neutral is 7, but really plants like just ever so slightly acidic, so anywhere from 5 to 8, but typically 5 and 6 are kind of ideal for plant growth, okay? So pH is a very important factor as well. All right, so soil biology, last thing I wanted to touch on before a little treat again. But soil biology, when we think about all the different diverse communities within the soil, it's pretty amazing. This is just showing some earthworms, but you'd be amazed that if you take a soil sample, all the different organisms, from the ones we can see to the ones we can't see, that are microorganisms that we would need microscopes for. So some of the most diverse communities are within the soil. That's pretty kind of cool. It's kind of cool to think about. All right, last but not least, of course, one more song. So I found by the same lovely teacher that wrote the song for the last unit, here's yet another song now about the soil layers. I probably will just listen this time. You don't have to watch me dance. I won't dance. It's getting late.
Mr. Paul, baby. Yeah, yeah. Did it again. And this time it's about soil. Yeah, man. You see it on the ground. Could be rocky. Sand or clay, silt water, and dead bodies. It provides more roots. It's an anchor food source for the plants. A home, insects, spiders, worms,
talented. Gosh, he's showing me up, right? All right, so anyways, just another song to, if you really look at those words, you guys would be amazed at how much you can learn just from that song. So hopefully that kind of recaps what I told you guys a little bit about. Don't forget to read your unit, and then you'll be able to do just fine on your quiz. All right, see you later.